Okay, so who's doing the first one? Heather?
Yeah.
Right, basically, welcome everyone to the Three Counties team. I run this with Heather and Jeff, and Heather's going to take the next stage, and I'll introduce our special guest speaker.
Right, hi everyone. It's good to see you all. We've got 36 on the call tonight. Okay, sorry, I've just had a look at the chat group. Right, so the chat, you all know the chat's there, don't you?
Yeah.
In the chat, while we're going through this evening, I want you to put in there anybody who's achieved any of the incentives. So there's quite a lot. So if you just listen, and then you'll know what we want to put in there. Anybody who's achieved any promotion since last month. So the Christmas incentives, which we'll talk about in a minute. So if you've achieved the marketing box or the Advent draw or the Sporting Legend fitness session, yay! Either QD since last month or FTL or TL. I think there's well, at least one of them in the room. STL, GL, NNL, any of them in the room? Pop it in the chat. Yes, Linda's off to a flying start. Thanks, Linda. Just achieved TL this month, so well done. Anyway, we'll mop them up at the end. If you've received any chocolates or champagne, surprises like that, if you're going to be delivered a Christmas dinner or a Christmas hamper or one of the £300 Christmas vouchers, pop it in the chat. If you now have achieved your Mini, you're driving that around, pop it in the chat. If you've qualified for any of the holidays, weekend or the bigger holidays, pop it in the chat. And yes, we'll talk about the other things just now. So all of those, put them in the chat and we'll follow them up at the end. Now, the Christmas incentives, this evening we're going to look at those. We're going to have our special, wonderful guest speaker, who Davina will tell you about later. She's hiding in the wings, not. And then Jeff has got something special to share with us as well. And then we'll have the recognition. So as for the Christmas incentives, okay, there's quite a lot on the portal, and I hope you've all seen them. The Advent prize draw, drawn at 4 o'clock every day. £250 is the top draw. And then there's 3 £100 going. And any supported appointments, if somebody wins it, the supporter also wins. I think it's £50 they win. The Sporting Legends. Yeah, so anyway, the qualifying for that is one qualifying customer. Only one service is needed, but not mobile only and not prepay only, but anyone with just one service other than those, and you're in the draw. The Sporting Legends, you need 10 points, and all the points system's really clear on the portal. 10 points, that's 2.5 full service customers, yeah. And you will have a workout with either Dame Catherine Granger, who actually rode at the same time as our Andrew Lindsay in the Olympics, or if you want a hunk, James Haskell, who played rugby for England no less than 77 times. And for that, you only need 10 points. And the biggie is a marketing box for every single person who gains just one qualifying customer. Qualifying customer means somebody without just mobile only or prepay. One customer and you get a marketing box. So that on its own is well worth going for. So if you've achieved any of them, pop them in the chat and we'll carry on with the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Fabulous. So excellent. Thank you very much. So yeah, make sure you put all your chats in the chat. Right. Obviously, now I want to introduce our guest. We're very privileged to have a special guest tonight, and appreciate time out of her busy lifestyle to share with us what is working and how we can grow our businesses faster. This lady is a high achiever. She's a GL heading through to SGL. Is 200 plus club and a multi-holiday winner who has already qualified for Mexico this year. So that's fantastic. Now, I have to admit, I've been in total awe of her, of what she's done, especially during lockdown. In the last 3 months with the Christmas incentive, I'm just like bowled over. Those who achieved the Mad Goodie Box were given high targets for the Christmas incentive. And many complained, but Antonia chose to see it as a challenge and achieved 164 points out of the 158 that she needed. Now, that's nearly enough to complete the whole qualification for the holiday of a lifetime. So, and that's just in 3 months. Antonia leads by example, and last month, or maybe the month before, she signed 8 partners and 11 customers, and she's also been supporting her new IDs and is regularly top of the leaderboard. So not only is Antonia focused, she does this business with her other half, Brian, and amazingly has 4 young children and 3 stepsons as well. I don't know how you fit it all in. So please welcome Antonia Kinlan, who will share with us some top tips. Looking forward to it. Antonia, you're muted, so right.
There we go. That's because I have 2 of my little children playing in the background, so let's just pretend that's not happening, shall we? Okay, so a big thank you for having me on tonight. What I'm curious about, I'm going to tell you a bit about what I'm doing and what's made a difference for me. If you do have any questions or queries, though, just pop them in the chat and I will cover them off. At 163 pints, I wish I could have drunk 163 pints, but that's not the kind of lockdown I've had. So thank you for that, Alan. I think the things that Davina wanted me to kind of cover off particularly is how I'm doing this. Now, my journey with UW started nearly 10 years ago. One of my elderly neighbours potted across and signed me as a customer, and then potted back and signed me as a partner. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about, and at the time I was originally a TV producer. I jacked it all in to become a police officer, and then when my daughter was born, who's 12 now, I had pregnancy-related osteoporosis and I broke my back. So 8 vertebrae collapsed. I was 3 inches shorter. I couldn't police, but I also couldn't sit at a desk. So I was in a bit of a sort of sticky wicket where I didn't quite know what I was going to do. And Roy just kept saying, this will change your life. Now, I had this is the big thing for me. I had no clue what business Roy was offering me. But what I did know is that he had absolute belief in it. So when you are out there and you are talking to people about utility warehouse, do not verbally vomit over them. Do not give them too much information. Only your one job is to show people that presentation and to read out exactly what it says on it. You don't need to ad lib. You don't need to put in other information. You don't need to wow them with your expertise on UW. You just need to read out that presentation, and they need to hear your belief. Okay. Now, once I'd signed up for this mystery business, I went along to training with Roy, and it was Amanda Clark who did the training. And all I understood was that I had to copy what she said, how she said it. So I did the presentation. We had to practice in those days. And so I just understood that actually that's what I had to do. So this is my second tip: is everything you do has to be duplicatable. So again, do not wow everybody with your great knowledge. You just read out that presentation exactly as they teach you, because it is all about duplication, because other people have to believe that they can do this business as well. So when I am doing an appointment, I will literally go through it all and I will say to them, this is about as difficult as it gets. And I would love to tell you that I'm very, very clever and that I have done this amazing thing to get here, but actually it's just following this system. So that's sort of my tip number 2 is be duplicatable. Back to belief. So I went that evening to the COP as it was then, so the opportunity presentation, and it was a strange little chap who showed me a photo album that was full of pictures of him at an airport landing planes, and that was Stephen Longworth. And all I took away from that was that absolute belief that something amazing will happen with this business if you do it and you carry on doing it and you never stop. So third one is consistency. Okay. So, and to this day, I talked to Stefan about this, and it was just that feeling that this was something really exciting. And again, that's what people need to hear from you. They need to hear that excitement. So that's the other thing. Now, I potted around in the business, and I have to say, I didn't have a clue. I had no sense of urgency. I knew that I was not selling to people, but I didn't know how to not sell and still sign up a customer. So that was a really big challenge for me, that period of time. Now, I did accidentally get a few customers because they kind of went, well, can I do that? Because it kind of spoke for itself, because I just read out the presentation. But it was the understanding of the business. And this is something I came to a bit later. So I'm going to fast forward this at this point. So number 4 is that this is a marketing business. Right? The reason that you're not selling to people is that it's split into 2 parts. Okay. Now, if you imagine a double glazing salesman coming to your door and he's selling double glazing to you. Now, I think 9 times out of 10, or even 99% of the time, when a double glazing guy comes to your door, you're pretty much not in the market for a window. But if they're persuasive enough and they sell enough, suddenly you've found yourself with a new set of windows at the front. And in 6 months' time, they're going to ring you about the back ones, and you don't know what happened, and suddenly you signed up. But the majority of people kind of say sod off at this point. Now, if you imagine then on the flip side that you're a salesperson in, say, Curry's, okay, and somebody comes through the door and they're going to want to buy a computer. Now, they know that Curry's is reputable. They know that there's somebody there to help them, and they come in and they want that assistant. They want that assistant to help them. So at that point, do you position yourself? Do you go bounding up to people saying, what do you want to buy? What can help? And people go, oh, it's all right, I'll just have a look around. Or do you ignore them completely? In which case people go, well, that's a bit rude. No one's going to help me. I'll go somewhere else. Or do you just say to that person, I know you want to have a look around. Just come and find me when you need me. Okay, so that person knows they can approach you. Now that's kind of where you want to be on the sales side. So you need to, that person needs to know that they can come through the door to buy a computer and that you will help them when they're ready. Now, in order to get to that bit, this is where the kind of gap in our knowledge is, and mine was for a long time. How do we get from, you know, not knowing that what you do to wanting to buy from you? And that's where the marketing part comes in. Now, I listened to some Eric Worre GoPro, and I had this little epiphany 3 years into the business where I was woken up in the night and I was looking after one of my babies, Alaric. I had 3 in 3 years, so I was very tired and a bit hallucinogenic at this point. And I was listening to an Eric Worre podcast, and he said, you know, I don't understand why people aren't proud to say that they're in network marketing. And I went, oh, I'm in network marketing. Did not know that. 3 years in, the penny didn't drop. And I went away to think about what network marketing was about, and think about it. The clue is right there. You are marketing to your network, right? We're not direct sales. We are marketing to our network. So that's clue number 1. He then went on to say, you know, this is an amazing business that you've got. And I went, oh, it's a business. Huh, didn't realize that. Woke up the next morning and went, oh my God, I've bought a business. Completely freaked out, wondered what the hell I was thinking. 3 years in, I realized I'd bought a business. Now, I was quite tired with these children, but it was this epiphany moment. So I suddenly realized that it was a marketing business. It was marketing to your network for your own business. So suddenly there was some other work to do. So what we need to do is we need to go out and we need to market to our network. And the way that we market is we show everybody the presentation. So can you see how we're circling back round here? But you need to show that presentation without any expectation or any pressure on the person that is watching that presentation, because otherwise you turn into the double glazing sales guy. Now, I network a lot. so I go to different networking groups, and the very first one that I ever joined was BNI. I didn't know networking existed. I was invited along. I love the concept of givers gain. So I joined, and what I found out very quickly was that I was judged by who had been before me. Now, there are some fantastic networkers out there, and there are some bad networkers out there. What happened was people were selling to the room. They were going to have one-to-ones with people. So anyone that's not familiar with networking is business owners meeting, doing a little 60 seconds usually during a meeting to explain to people what it is that you do. And then you have one-to-ones with people where you have a separate meetings where there's just two of you. You learn about that person's business and they learn about yours. And what was happening is people were being really selling to people in the room. And then when they were in one-to-ones, they were trying to sell to people in the room. So we're back to double glazing salesmen. And what they were doing there is they were saying, when you come to your one-to-one, bring your bills. Now, that's not what a one-to-one is. A one-to-one is to genuinely know about what that person does. And I realized at that point that the judgment was there. So what I had to do is set myself up as a professional. So going back to Eric Worre's GoPro, where he says, you're either a poser, an amateur, or a professional. And if you haven't read that book or listened to that audio, it's an absolute must, because you understand that this is a business and that you have to be professional in it. So I went out there absolutely determined to be a professional network marketer, and that in networking, I would 100% give value to every single person I came across without expectation for myself. Now, what's happened as a result is in networking circles, I am known as a really good networker who will always help others. And what I find is when I go in and I tell people about what we do, I always still show the presentation. I say, look, I'll show you what I do. So I ask all the questions about them, how I can help them. I make notes about everybody. I make sure I can connect people and help people get business. But when it comes then to, well, what do you do? I say, well, listen, it's easier if I can just show you the presentation. And this is what I would show to people that you put me in touch with. So our goal is to show that presentation. So that's where I spend 10 minutes. I'll talk about their business for 30, 40 minutes. I will show ours for 10. I'll just go through and I'll be super indirect about it. So Eric Worre talks about being direct and super indirect. And I will show that presentation. So again, it's finding reasons to show the presentation. Now, if you don't network, I'll cover warm list in a minute as well. So don't worry about that. Also, the Big Owl Icebreakers, where he's about getting into cold market. Really good book, that. So when you're out networking, it's very much a case of showing everybody. Now, what happens is, because I've shown somebody the presentation, because I've been super indirect, basically I've set myself up as the adverts on the telly, the posters on the billboard, the bits in the paper, all those different things. I have shown people what I do. And I say to them, and what's brilliant is when people are interested, they come to me and they know they can come and have a chat and they can have a look at it. And if they like it, then we can help them. And if it's not for them, that's fine too. So again, I tell them it's okay to look, that they're not committed. So what happens is I get an awful lot of people who will ring me out of the blue and say, hey, could I have a look at my bills with you now? And all I've done is I've done the marketing so that then I'm the guy in Curry's.
I got it. Thank you. You are super.
Okay, so this is the key. Now, if we're talking about warm market, what I do there is follow the scripts. And one thing that I really do find helpful is the fact that we are a marketing business. So I will say to people, hey, you know how I've got a business with UW, because I've done it for a while now. You know how I've got a business with UW. My job's actually to show everybody what they do because the company don't advertise. Would it be okay if I showed you what I do? And then could you just pass me on to as many people as possible? So I go indirect. I don't say it's for them because, again, I want to set up the marketing for them to be ready, because when you're in there and you're showing the presentation and you're going indirect, all that information is going in for them. Right? So you don't need to feel uncomfortable and like you're selling to somebody. It's about doing that. Now, one of the best things that I came across was when I went on Jimmy Chapman's recruiting masterclass quite early on in my UW journey. I got there, it was a Holiday Inn in Chester, And there was this bloke in a suit, this scouser, stood at the front of the room rather loudly on the phone, and he was giving a presentation over the phone. He was saying to this woman, this is what we do, this is the business, this is how it works, etc., etc., and signed her up as a partner before the training started. And I didn't know what to expect, and I just sat quietly and I listened to him, and I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Now, when he started the training about 10 minutes later, he said, okay, who have you signed somebody up this morning already? No one puts their hands up, because obviously everyone drove there and they were waiting for the training for this miracle information. And actually he said, I've been talking to Wayne Coupland at head office, and they're always asking me at head office, why aren't people doing more? And the answer is simply, they're not talking to enough people. It was a hard lesson where I thought, there is no way I am ever going to a training again without speaking to people before that training started, with appointments in my diary. Because when he said, who else has done something this morning, I'm going to bloody well put up my hand, and I'm going to be that person that says yes. So there was something there that day that made me make a decision. And when he was talking about it, it was simply, we don't understand the ratio. So this is tip number 5, really. Understand your ratios. You have to speak to so many more people than you can imagine, because you're not going to be directly selling to them at that point. You're still in the marketing stage. Now, these people all start coming back. So we've all had that phone call 5 years down the line where someone goes, hey, can you sign me up for all your services? And you go, I didn't even think you remembered what I did. And that's because we do that marketing first. So you've got to get out there and show people that presentation. So it comes back to, if your business network, do as many one-to-ones as possible, give value to others, show that presentation, be super indirect, because that's appropriate and professional. With your warm list, I've got this business, my job's to show people what the company does, because they don't advertise. Is it okay if I show you? And always have, I think the biggest fear people have is when people say, what is it? And what you're trying to sell me, and I don't want those services. And that's the point at which you say, hey, listen, it's fine if you don't want it. I don't want anything from you, but I want you to see what it is, and I want you to refer me on to as many people as possible if you're impressed. Okay, so you've got to set yourself in the mindset for that. So you'll notice some of the things start looping around now, and they're all interwoven in this. Now, Icebreakers was a fantastic book that I read. It was Big Al. It was the first personal development that I actually managed to read start to finish. And the reason was, when you hear personal development, certainly at the beginning, I was quite offended and thought, why do I need personally developing? Don't be so rude. And it was a really bizarre thing where it didn't click with me. It felt very American. It felt very fake. It felt pointless waste of my time. But what I realized, again, it will have come out of a training where someone will have said something and it'll have tweaked in my brain. And I just thought, actually, this is about skills. So the personal development books that people tell you to read are all about skills. So the next point, number 6, is develop your skill set. If you are not constantly learning, if you are not constantly developing, you will never keep up with this business. Okay, you don't need to know what's on the presentation. You don't need to know the ins and outs of services and costs, because that's all about reading what's in front of you. But you do need to have those skills to go out and talk to people. So the Icebreakers was about going out into the cold market and talking to people. So if you've had great service from somebody in a restaurant, say, hey, you know, I'm just curious, is this your dream job? And they will, generally speaking, say no. Say, listen, it's not the time to talk now, but I've got a sideline business that I think you'd be really good at. Do you mind if I take your number and give you a call? And I'd love to give you some information about it. 9 times out of 10, people will give you their number. So you can do it with cashiers, you can do it wherever you are, having a chat with somebody in the lift going up and down in Sainsbury's car park. That was my favorite. Now, the other thing that I learned about personal development is that you have to practice saying those things out loud. Now, I had a horrendous incident, which I can laugh at, but by God, at the time, it was horrendous. I saw a woman, she used to serve me in Boots. She was on one of the cash tills. I always used to go and talk to her. She was lovely. And I'd read the Big Al Icebreakers book, and I thought, I'm going to give her a business card. I'm going to talk to her. I have these scripts. I know what I'm doing. And I went up to her at this cash desk over and over again. I couldn't get the words out. It all sounded a bit funny. And one day I went in there with this business cards like clutched in my sweaty little palm. And I thought, come hell or high water, I am giving her this card today. I couldn't get the words out because I'd never said them out loud before. I threw a business card out of her. I had no words and I exited the store with no explanation. Now, can you imagine being on the receiving end of that? What the hell? So of course, next time I had to go and explain to her. I was actually trying to tell you about a business opportunity. Clearly, she never joined as a partner or a customer. I was a lunatic. Who blames her? But what I did learn from that is that you have to practice out loud. Now, when I was little, I had two older sisters. They're 12 and 14 years older, and they used to tease me mercilessly. And being a lot younger, I didn't have anything to come back with. And I used to go away and I used to be quite upset. They were mean big sisters. They were also very lovely big sisters, but they were really sarcastic and mean. Now, I used to go away and then you know what it's like when someone says something to you and you go away and you think, oh, I wish I'd said whatever back. And you think of the perfect response. And of course, it's too late. So then I used to go away and I used to think of the perfect response. So this is about objection handling. So get really good at objection handling. That's tip number 7. So objection handling. So I used to go away and start thinking about what I could have said. And then I started on the next level of retorts where I would start thinking about what mean things they could say to me and how I would handle that. Now, what happened was I started getting a lot quicker because I could think up a scenario, and because I was training my brain, I could come back with some quite witty retorts and some quite mean things to say back. So I became incredibly sarcastic. And that's how I dealt with my big sisters, to the point where one day it all clicked into place. I could give as good as I got and it stopped. Now, on a nicer note, that is something that we need to do with objection handling. We need to think about what could people say to us and how we could explain it. So when somebody comes back to this roundabout here, so when somebody says to us, I'm not interested in these services, I don't want you to be interested. I just want you to look at what I'm doing and I want you to support me. Now, if you think of it in this way, if you opened a florist, right? You've got this beautiful shop. Your best friend has horrendous hay fever and she's never once going to set foot in there. But you would still tell her about your florist shop. You would still tell her everything you do. You would still tell her all the people you would like to talk to, and she would tell everybody else, right? UW is exactly the same. Please don't think that just because your friends and family don't support you, that it's not going to work, because actually it is. They just have to know what you do so that they can pass you on to other people. They can tell other people. I have some of the best referrals from friends and family who have never become customers. I get really good referrals from business networking colleagues who've never become a customer, and that's okay. All right. So, team building. We have something here that is absolutely essential for some people. If I hadn't have had UW, bearing in mind I have a big skill set, I've got a really good degree, I have all sorts of things that I've done, I couldn't sit at a desk 4 hours because it's painful. I couldn't go back to policing, and I had the safest job in the world with the best pension in the world, and I couldn't take that. So if Roy had asked me before I was at that position, I probably would have said no, but I would have known it was there. Roy happened to get me at the right time, but then again, he knew what I did and he was waiting for that. So in terms of the partner side, tell everybody. Now, what I want you to remember is that the process is exactly the same, whether it's for customers or whether it's for partners. Your job is to show the presentation. So make sure that you are showing everybody out there. Okay. Now, you can, if somebody is saying that they have a problem with something, or they're being made redundant, or somebody has told you something in passing and you've gone away and thought about it, so you can give them a call or send them a message and just say, you know how you were talking about XYZ? I might be able to help with that. So this is a Nicola Chapman special. I can help with that. Would it be worth having a chat? Okay, so you can go there. Now, the one thing I would urge you not to do is to send somebody an overly vomity text message. Don't spam them on LinkedIn. There've been horrendous things out there. Don't spam them in a messenger. If you can, talk to them on the phone first. Having said that, we have a new partner who sent out 50 messages and 38 appointments out of a message. So, and she's just saying, I've started a new business. Can't wait to show you. How soon can we chat? That's all she said. Now, if she'd have sent a message saying, I've started this new business, I help people with their utility bills, blah, 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 blah. People don't come back to that. When I receive things that are clearly spammy, I don't talk to them. I don't reply to them. I actually send a message saying, I'm sorry, I don't reply to sales messages, because you can tell that they're copy and pasted like that. But people will be interested in what your business is and they will want to help you. So if you can pick up the phone as well, that is so much more powerful. If you don't have someone's phone number, but you're connected with them on things like Facebook, then I would just send them a message saying, I need to have a quick chat. What's the best number to call you on? Not what is your number, because then it's like they can say no. What's the best number? And then they're thinking about the best number and they'll send that. So you can pick up the phone. I'm just going to silence my children 1 second. I don't know if that worked or not. We'll see if they get louder again. So Facebook. Now, the interesting thing about Facebook is that people are watching. Now, what they don't want are loads of sales stuff to say, hey, buy my stuff. They don't want to see lots of things about, you know, I can get you great prices. Do you want free holiday? Like, what they want is to see you doing your job professionally. Now, if you were a solicitor and you'd just been promoted to partner, you would put on Facebook to all your friends, I've just been promoted, I'm so proud. That's the kind of thing that you want to do. Think like a normal person and just tell the world about what you're doing. Now, what they're after is social proofing. They want to see that you're still doing this business, and they want to see that it's a serious business, that there's success there, that you are being professional about it, but they are all watching. And that's a bit creepy, but they are. So I was in Next and I was wandering around and I bumped into a girl that I have not seen since we were in Brownies together, bearing in mind I'm 43. Now, Claire Pilcher and I had connected on Facebook maybe 5 years before, and she came bounding over. I was like, oh my goodness, how are you? And she said, oh, I'm so glad I ran into you. I keep meaning to message you about that thing you do. Could you come and see me? Now, I haven't talked to her since we were tiny, and we just connected on Facebook, but she watched and she watched and she watched, and she was ready to buy, because we are the people in curries, so that people know what we do. So sometimes I might do a video saying, I've just gone to see a little old lady. So I'd come over out of a particular place called Hanover House. I've just been to see a little old lady. She was really overpaying on her bills. I'm really proud, because what she's done is she's just saved enough money to go on a holiday to Blackpool with all her friends. And I'm so proud that she gets to do that. Right? So I haven't said this is what we do, etc. I've just said this is the result of what I was able to do for that person. So those are the things that people watch, so they know that there's something quite interesting in there. So that covers off that. Now, I'm just going to check, is there, Davina, is there anything that I did say that you wanted me to cover that I haven't covered yet? Oh, incentives. It's all right. I remember the one main thing as well. Now, incentives. My business changed at this point. So don't get me wrong. I was not the world's best distributor at the beginning. I had to learn. Just 1 second, darling. I had to learn this business. I went to training over and over and over again. I went on Getting Started every single month from the month that I joined onwards until I absolutely knew what I was doing. You cannot go on to training enough. Now, I was still getting better, but the one thing that changed for me was they had the holidays and they were all very well, but how could you take 4, 5, 6, 7 children on a luxury cruise for 2? And then one day they announced at Express Day that they were doing a family holiday, and it was for the south of France. And I thought, I want to take my children on that holiday. So that was, do you want to come and join me, Danny? Come on. So once, I can't, darling. So I went on to the portal, and I had a look, and I worked out exactly how many holiday points. Now, this is where I tapped into my inner green. The holiday is not actually that difficult if you just work out your averages. So take the number of points for the duration, divide it by 12, so you know what you need each month, divide it by 4, so just base everything on your own activity, and that's how many Daffy Golds you have to introduce. Now, if you get bonus points because somebody's not a Daffy Gold, if you get bonus points for supporting, that's all absolutely fine. But know your averages. So it's a bit like knowing that you have to speak to more people than you think you're going to sign that month because they'll come back later. You have to know your averages on a holiday. Now, I worked out this thing, and the difference here was I committed to that family holiday. In my mind, no matter what happened in my business, I was doing that. I would book more appointments over and over and over again. I would speak to more people until I got those points in each month. And it worked, and it happened. And my business grew. I qualified for the mini. And suddenly I had this team, and I was SDL, and it was all because I committed to an incentive. If you do not commit to an incentive, it's really hard to stay consistent, and it's really hard to drive your business forward at a pace that will take over churn and will actually get some momentum up and some excitement for people to come and join you. So the incentives are absolutely key to me. If I don't have that, I'm a bit rudderless. Now, once you've worked out that, you need to say, well, how many appointments do I need to have to get those points in? So you go about, you pick up the phone, you tell people, I've got a business, I need to show you. It's marketing for the company. They don't advertise it anywhere else. So it's down to me. I just want you to pass me on to as many people as possible. So we're back into that. One-to-ones, you book your one-to-ones in if you're business networking. Talk to people while you're out and about. Use your big allies press. Get all those appointments into the diary. So the incentives 100% changed. Now, I want you to also think about the fact that 192 points over a year for a £10,000 holiday, when you break it down, it works out roughly £52 per point. So not only are you going to earn your customer gathering bonus, quip if it's relevant, your residual income, but it works out roughly £52 a point. Now, if you then start seeing how powerful this is, it's pretty impressive. So what I did was I went hell for leather and I qualified for that holiday. Now, in those days as well, there was like an interim 6 months. So I qualified for Budapest as well, because I thought I can do this now. You do one incentive, you sign one customer, you know you can sign more. You do one incentive, there's no going back. So that's where I started going from holiday to holiday to holiday. And that's how the business has grown. And what happens is when you achieve those, then other people in my team start going, hey, I can do that. And next thing I know, I've got my next person qualifying for weekend breaks. And then 3 went on weekend breaks. I thought, oh my God, I've inspired these people. And I was more excited about them going on these holidays than I was us. Then suddenly I've got another team member who's qualified for the holiday of a lifetime. And that's just incredible. And then other people see it and they start believing that it's happening. And we've got minis in the team, and other people start going, well, I kind of want a mini, and they go in your mini, and they didn't know they wanted a mini, but now they want a mini because they've been in it. And they're really fun. So you've got this constant momentum building. The one thing I will say about those holidays is, can you just imagine turning up at the airport? You've got your kids, you've got your passports, and you've got your suitcases. You don't need anything else. They hand you everything in an envelope. They give you all the passes, all the money that you need. They give you the tickets for everything. They've organized all the transport for you, all your accommodation. They've organized your travel insurance. As a child, it's so exciting going on holiday because you don't have to think about anything other than having a good time, because mummy and daddy organize everything for you. That's what going on a UW holiday is like. I cannot describe the pure joy that you get out of these holidays. And I mean, absolute joy. And if you think that holiday is out of your reach, it is not. It is absolutely not out of your reach. You just have to commit to it. You have to go on that training. You have to learn those scripts. You have to do that personal development. You have to put those appointments in the diary. Don't put pressure on yourself to sign people up. Put pressure on yourself to get appointment after appointment after appointment. And that is when your business will grow with UW. So the incentives are the most powerful thing you can do. And you know what? Every single one of you deserve it. And every single one of you can do this. And you've just got to make that decision. And when you have got that little ticker that tracks over and you just go, oh my gosh, I've done it. Nothing can beat that feeling. Okay. I don't think there's anything else I need to cover tonight, because that for me is the highlight of everything I do. I know some people say they don't matter, and they don't matter really, but actually being able to take your family or yourself on one of those holidays when you are there means the world. And I know that you can all smash this business. So please go forth and smash it.
Wow. Thank you very much, Antonia. That's absolutely amazing. So loads of information. Thankfully, I've recorded it, so I'll be listening to it and everyone can hear it later. One of the questions I was going to ask was Facebook. Obviously, people are watching. So how often do you post? I mean, and do you sort of say every time you help people save money, but you don't actually say that you're saving money, but you're sort of, well, maybe you gave that example. I have a big fear of Facebook, so actually I'm not very good at it. So
I think people fear Facebook because they don't want to be that salesy piece of crap that people see on the walls. We don't know, do we? And actually sometimes people are like that, and so there is a fear. I think you're absolutely right. It's better to do nothing than to blow your list out of the water by being awful on Facebook. But what we do, so we used to do, a box has arrived, let's open the box. If you get an incentive, you know, I show my trackers nearly there saying, hey, I'm going for this, because then people kind of behind you and they want to know whether you've done it or not. So they're watching to see what you do. So, you know, and I want to celebrate what I've done, and I want to celebrate what my team's done. So if other people are doing things, I do that. If someone, you know, if I've helped a customer, I will literally put, like in your Facebook stories, it's great. You can just do a screenshot, edit out any sensitive information. I just do another customer, really, really pleased to be helping this person. Those are the kind of things. So you're not in their face. You're not saying, hey, buy my stuff. You're crazy if you don't come and sign up with me. I talk a lot. I do a lot of lives as well, because if I record a video, then you're always thinking about what it is. Once you've pressed live, you're out there. You have to talk. It's a bit like when you ring up for a takeaway and they say, what's your order? And you can't go, like, you have to say something, even if you don't know what you want. What do you recommend? Like, you're under pressure to do it. So I always say go live. If it's absolutely awful, you can just delete it anyway. But just do things like that and just talk about why you love your business. Why do you love your business? Why are you doing it?
Is this on your general feed, or is this on a page?
Oh, general feed. There's no point having a page. A, it's double the work. B, it confuses people. And C, it gets buried down in the Facebook list anyway. People want to know you. It's about you. It's not your business. So what happened is we were always told you can't advertise it. You can't pay to advertise on Facebook. Do not post in groups. You're not allowed to do that. So you're not allowed to go into a local buy, sell, swap and say, hey, you know, I can offer you this business opportunity. It's horrible anyway. But what you want to do is be talking about it and be indirect. There's a lady called Helen Pritchard who does LinkedIn training, and it's equally as relevant for Facebook. She's really good to follow. She's got some good ideas. So she talks about doing a video, long form stories. So tell stories. So I tell stories about, you know, I've had horrendous things happen to me, and UW has got me out of some really bad, well, it's not gotten me out of bad situations, but it's helped me deal with bad situations financially. Where, you know, I had family members in the States. I had to go for a funeral, and it helped me because I needed £1,000 very quickly to pay for flights and accommodation. So I just went out in the days where it was £250 for a customer with Quip when Quip first came, and I got 4 customers, so I could fly straight out. And I didn't have to worry about it. So you can, tell stories, you know, what it does for you. It's a powerful business. It's a really powerful business. But yeah, tell stories. If you've helped a customer, you know, I had one lady who she cried. I saved her £300. She cried because she could pay for a really special Christmas for her grandchildren. And it was emotional. And so I told people, I'm quite real. I don't try and dress anything up. It's just this is what it is, and tell people what it's doing for people.
No, thank you. Being a novice on Facebook, do you put it on stories or post on your feed? I don't understand the
Both,
difference
bit
really.
of both. Stories you can be a bit more selly, I guess. So stories, like, you know, that's where I'd go, new partner, new customer, new whatever. What I would do is I would turn that into a story-based post for Facebook. You know, I'm really proud of my team. We're out there helping so many people. You know, COVID's making a lot of people redundant, and we've helped 3 people this week, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm so proud.
Okay.
So, but if my golden rule to all social media, and if you don't network, then you'll find it a bit harder to appreciate, but it's that you'll understand the principle. If you would stand up in a business networking meeting, so if you would stand up in front of other business owners and you would tell that story there, then you can put it on Facebook. But you would not stand in front of a room full of business owners or chatting over a coffee and go, hey, I've got the best prices on gas and electric, come and talk to me. Like, you just wouldn't do that, because it's not professional. So if you apply those rules to all your social media, and you would stand up and say, oh, I'm really pleased I helped this person this week. It was actually quite a nice story. I've got this group of little old ladies, and they're all going on holiday to Blackpool now because I saved them all a load of money. You would say that in a professional setting. You would talk about that. You would say that story to your mom. So, you know, you can say it on Facebook or LinkedIn. Just use the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook is the wording. So you use professional wording on LinkedIn. It has to be a higher standard. Facebook, you can be more relaxed, more casual in your wording.
Lovely. Okay, no,
Yep.
that's good. So there's a couple of other questions I'd like to ask, but anyone else sort of unmute themselves and ask some questions? Jeff?
Yeah. Quick question for Antonia. Going back to the presentation, I mean, I pretty much read what's on the screen. I might throw in the odd bit, but on the last page, when it comes to the money, I give them a lot of information, because I tell them what the qualifying customer is, etc. And I also tell them we still get paid on tenants and homeowners that don't take all the services. Would you tell them that on your appointment, or would you just tell them what's on the screen?
So two things that stopped me over talking on there, because I did give a little bit more information previously, but 2 things. Well, the duplication is the side of it,
Yeah.
but confused people do nothing. Right?
Okay. Yep.
Most people aren't green. They don't need more information that are on that slide. So if you think about your color wheel, there are very few people who are pure green. You'll get some who are green yellow, and you get some who are green red, but most people don't need that information. Always assume the information is what they need unless they ask, because they will ask, right? Don't ask them either, do you have any questions? Because then they'll wonder that they don't have any questions, and then they won't do anything because they're confused, because they maybe should have asked more, therefore they can't make a decision. If they want more information, they'll ask. So I just read out what's there, because what happens is you want that person to go, if looking at it as a business, I could just read this out. Yeah. So that's the rule number 1. And then the second thing is, all the studies show, psychology, the less a person says, the more trustworthy they are. That's why when you're double glazing sales guys, and I've had this, where they come through the door and they start getting out bits of window and show you how the windows are made. I don't care how your bloody windows are made. If they don't work properly, then I'll get my money back. Like, I don't care. And most people are kind of like that. So whilst I understand why you would say that, I think that's a fear that maybe you have, that they need more information to get them over the line. And actually, generally speaking, they don't. So I would try it where you just stick to the thing. If your ratios go down, then go back to what you're doing. But I would say pretty much people are they're quite happy to go along with that. So, you know, people choose from that list down the left. So I go super indirect. They choose that list down the left, how much extra they'd like each month. On the right, that's the number of qualifying customers, which is what, you know, and then that's all they have to do. It's just out of curiosity, which amount would be better for you? You can say that. You can. Generally speaking, I don't say anything. I go really indirect. So that's what they do. This is it. And then on the next page, remember, it just says, so what's best for you? And you just read it out, and then you stay silent and smile and try not to look creepy. Yeah.
So, quick question: when you ask for my objective is to for you to pass me on to as many people as possible. Do you ask them for the names and referrals, or how do you?
Yeah, so with that, it's literally, if you're impressed with it, most people are. That was a Craig Casey line. That's the best line that he's actually ever came out with. If you're impressed with it, and I'm pretty sure you will be, I just want you to refer me on to people, to as many people as possible. Because then if they're impressed with it, then they're probably likely to do something with it. Yeah. So now I spoke to Eric because my one weakness is referrals, because I go a bit British and I don't really like to ask. So I rang Eric and was like, right, what do you do? So he just did. So what he does is actually built into the new presentation. So if you go through that, and it literally is like, who do you know? When it says, who do you know, that slide that says, who do you know? Say, right, I've got my pen and paper ready. You shout out the names of who do you know. I don't want any numbers right now because we don't cold call. I'll show you what we'll do with them later. So then they're relaxed because they're giving you names, but you have no way of contacting them. So they will give you those names. Then when you're enjoying the club and you get to the quote bit and you've got 10 names down and their bills are £100 a bill, and you say, right, I've got 10 names down here. That's £500. So that's 5 free bills. How many free bills do you want? And they might say more. So you get some more. Right, brilliant. Give me some more names. And then you're into referrals. You can also say at that point as well. So you know those names that now, if you were to sign up 10 people, that would be £3,500. So which would be better for you, 500 or 3,500? And then you're back into the business, because just to register for £10, you'd have access to that money instead. So then you're getting more conversions into the business. So and
you actually ask for the numbers at that stage then, do you? Or
well, yeah, because when they say they want so many free bills, brilliant, let's start getting this down. I'm going to help you here. They're excited. They want free bills. So that's where you collect them, and you just make sure it's that I don't call. So I want you to make sure that you've spoken to them first. It's not our decision about whether it's for them or not. Like, it's not my decision whether it's for you or not, but they need to see what we do, because you're really impressed with it. I'm sure they will be too. So you're back into that kind of thing. So reassure them, get the names down. So I won't ring them until you let me know that you've spoken to them.
So one other quick question, and everyone else. So if you're say you want to go for the holiday and you've got a bit behind or something, from seeing your stats, anyone still, as long as they got the minimum in November or whatever, they're still eligible to get onto that holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
So numbers, and I mean, we've been in the business a while. How would you approach people, and what sort of quantity of numbers would you be talking about to get those appointments?
It depends on your ratios. I mean, you should always have at least 5 appointments in the diary. Ideally, I would be looking to show. I like to try and show 10 people a week, or have 10 conversations. I have no expectations over that. I want to show those people. So you might just have to pick up the phone. But what's brilliant is, because you now have no expectations of those appointments, picking up the phone to ring them is a doddle, because it doesn't matter whether they sign up or not. The biggest fear that we all have is making a load of appointments and doing them and getting nothing out of them, thinking there's something wrong with us, we're rubbish. And we're not. It's part of the process. And what happens is people do that and then they stop, because they're not getting anything. Brian and I had a 3-week gap in this promotion. Davina will know this. So in November, we were 10 points off about a week into November. And then we had 3 weeks of bugger all. We did supporting appointments. They didn't get any signups either. It was like, literally, we got into the last week. We're like, what the hell? It's 10 points. And then suddenly we're like, right. So we hit the phones, we made more appointments, and they just all suddenly came in, because sometimes it just backs up. It's like a traffic jam and 3 buses are stuck in it and then they all come at once. So you've just got to understand that. It's that consistency. It's doing it regardless. Your job's to show people it will all come good, I promise. If you just read through that presentation, if you just go through that join the club, if you just do those basics over and over and over again, you will get results. Absolutely, 100%. Just don't stop.
No, definitely. So anyone else would like to ask Antonia any questions? So
Tumbleweed.
I was going to say, look, she's got all this experience. Hang on.
Can I ask something, Davina? Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I ask any tips on what to do with? I said this quite often actually. Any tips on what to do with sleeping partners, or how do you motivate a partner who's moaning, has got no money, but doesn't do anything?
Okay, so only 5 to 10% of people that sign up will ever really do the business. So don't ever worry about partners. So I had one month where I signed up 11 and I rang David Ross going, what the crap do I do with 11 partners? Because we've no upline either. So we're rudderless. We had to learn off the hoof. We had to go to training. We've had nobody to place under us, nobody to guide us. It's just been like, but so I rang David Ross. He's like, you're just looking for the 1 or 2 that work in 11. You're just looking for the 1 or 2 that work. And that kind of, that set the whole business up for me, where I went, okay, now I get it. Okay, so don't worry if they're not doing anything. The best thing to do is ring them and say, you know, I know that the timing's not being right. The business has changed quite a bit. There's been a lot of new stuff. I'm pretty sure I can help you now. Is it the right time to come back and have a go? And if they say no, then leave them, because some people, they just don't want to push themselves. They just don't want that. And you know, they might, it sounds, and I don't mean this in an awful way, so please don't think that of me, but some people like to complain and they like to moan because they get attention from other people about that, and that's the thing that makes them feel better, whereas taking the action wouldn't necessarily make them feel better, because they have a fear of it not working, or they have a fear of it working. So there's a lot of stuff going on in people's minds, and that's okay. So you've just got to let them know that you're always there for them, but there is no problem that 10 new distributors can't fix. That's a Stefan Longworthism. There is no problem that 10 new partners can't fix. Just go out and recruit some more, because there are so many people that need this, and you're just looking for those few that really want this. You're looking for leaders, people that will develop, people that are coachable. The Brian Carruthers book, Building an Empire, if you've not read that, read that. It's kind of a good foundation for network marketing. Once you understand what he's on about in there, the rest kind of makes sense. So there is no magic bullet on that, I'm afraid. But so people do surprise you and come back. Just let them know you're always there.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else before we move on? No. Oh yes, Jen.
Okay, so the most important things you can do is play frogs. So get down, play frogs over and over again. We play every week with our team. So we go through the friends and family. So 1 minute each category: friends and family, recreational, not just your own recreational stuff, but who do you know that likes football? Who do you know that whatever else? Occupational, geographical, same name. Play over and over again, because you'll be surprised how many more people you think you know than you do. Then for you, I would absolutely recommend going and looking at that Big Al book, Icebreakers, because that's about getting into cold market quite easily. So I would absolutely recommend that. You're on social media, you can go and do the Helen Pritchard. She does a free 5-day training. Go learn about using LinkedIn, post professionally, post well on there. And that will start building you a list. It's a longer term game, but it will absolutely bring you rewards if you do it properly. And apply it to Facebook if you can manage with social media, and do that. You've got to think, how can I proactively start building a list? So you've got to go Big Al, Helen Pritchard, go do it. You can do it. There are other people in the same position. You'll be good. Okay.
Fabulous. Okay. So if no one else, I'd really like to thank you, Antonia. You've done absolutely amazing. So many top tips. And yeah, we just need to get working and use that incentive to get going. There's lots of incentives going, you know, which can't be done for December. Most of us are still in the game if we want to for the major holiday, because the company abandoned QP1. So as long as you got your minimum points out for 2 out of the last 3 months, then any is open. And Antonia's just proven that with this blasting these 163 points. So
what I would just say on that is that if you have fallen out of the holiday promotion, use the next 3 months to practice, so that when we come to Express Day and they launch a new holiday promotion, you know what your stats are, you know what your ratios are, and you know what you need to do. So use these next 3 months to absolutely throw a load of appointments in and get the ball rolling. Okay.
Fabulous. Okay, then. Lovely. Thank you very much. Jeff, I'm going to pass you over to take the next stage.
Very much, Davina. Thank you very much, Antonia. Normally I start the meeting. You are a very hard act to follow, I have to say. I think I'm going to go back to starting the meetings in the future. Anyway, absolutely brilliant. And I just want to talk a little bit about how you can actually add to what Antonia's been saying by using the A to Z, certainly over the Christmas period. Use your phone. People, and most of us will have a lot of names in that phone you've never spoken to. And what better time to ring somebody up and talk to them about Christmas and how good Christmas can be, even in this rubbish world that we're in. And if they ask you what you're doing, just tell them that you are a marketing voice for a company, and can you show them what you do? And just take on what Antonia has said and turn that A to Z into more showings of the presentation. I'm certainly going to do that. Because I believe in the A to Z, obviously, and that will just add in, make it easier for me to get to show the presentation. So I think that is great. And that's all I'm going to say on that, because I think Antonia has told us enough. And we're going to do a little bit now of recognition. And I know Alan Berlin has left. He had an appointment to do at 8 o'clock. But since our last meeting, he has become a qualified distributor. He qualified for the dinner. And he got his fast start bonus, which was absolutely excellent. And if he was here, I'd give him a round of applause. We have 2 future team leaders since the last meeting, which is Celestina Curry and Peter Holland, who was also qualified already for the marketing box. So that's fantastic. Big round of applause for Linda Wilkinson, who has become team leader. Very much deserved. Absolutely fantastic, Linda.
Thank you so much.
That's our pleasure. You are wonderful, and it's great to see. And great news, Jax has joined the 50 Plus Club, so that's absolutely brilliant too. Christmas lunch. Tracy Bravo is having a Christmas lunch. Karen Potton, myself, and I'm pleased to say I've 163 points so far towards the Maldives, so I am going to be going to the Maldives. Not far to go now. Heather Petty also has the Christmas lunch and the marketing box. Tracy Bravo also has the hamper, so that's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And we have already qualifying for the marketing box, Liz Davis. Well done, my darling. And Ruth Northover. And weekend break. Davina has qualified for the weekend break and also the marketing box. And I think apart from, there must be some new people on here, but they haven't put in that they've joined recently. But welcome to anybody that hasn't been to this meeting before, and certainly hope that you will be joining us again. And the next one will be January the 4th, 2021. And let's hope 2021 is a darn sight better out there than 2020. And on that note, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year.
So yeah, no, thank you very much. And yeah, as Jeff says, happy Christmas to everyone. And also just get doing December, because lots of people aren't going to be able to be out and about, but they still wanted to chat. So okay, that's lovely. So just stop the recording. Right. Okay. Okay then, thank you very much, and we'll all see you all next month.
Can we
Okay,
just
then.
have a quick thank you to the team, Davina, Heather and Jeff, for all you've done to keep us together on Zoom through this horrendous but fabulous year.
Thank you, really appreciate that, Linda. So, okay then, lovely, cheers.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.